minute, but while we do that, while it's 7, top of the hour, we want to get started right away because yesterday we ran a little bit over, and we know that that can hinder some of you from finishing the full training. So we want to be more mindful of that today. I'm going to try to do a better job. And I'd like to just start out with, when you guys think of integration, right? Big word. I don't even know how many letters. I haven't counted, but big word. How many of you feel like that is a true rub in your business and that you struggle? Put a 1 in the chat if you feel like you're struggling with tangible ways to integrate the client early and often so that they can get the full value of our program. I'm seeing a lot of 1s. Okay, awesome. I would say that this is probably an area that if you give it your attention and intention. Okay, so what does that even mean? When we want to change something, I want you to think about anytime you've ever like lost your keys, okay? Or you've lost your shoe, your one shoe, right? You have one, but you don't have the other one. What does that do to you? You have this feeling of like, you know, nothing else matters. Where is my other shoe, right? And you're going around the house and you're tearing everything apart. At that moment, everything is getting your attention, your energy. So I want you to think of attention as energy. It's energy expended towards something, okay? Your intention is where your vision is set. So there's a huge difference between intention and attention. Your intention is like, hey guys, please don't talk to me right now. I've lost my other shoe, and everything stops, right? Until you find that shoe. It's getting your attention, intention, attention, very close. So what that shows us is whatever we give our attention and intention to will improve. You'll find the shoe, you'll leave the house, you'll drive away, and you'll go, oh, okay, well, that's done, right? So that shows us that we can hone in on something and improve it, but it does need attention, intention, focus, action, mindset. So if this is an area of your business, you're a business owner, this is your business, you're a professional that needs your attention and intention, we're here to give you that today for a solid hour. You're going to get equipped and empowered with things that you're like, I can say that tomorrow. I can apply that this afternoon. So I'm so excited for you guys. I want to start out with a story, a couple stories. My part is very much mindset today. I want to get into those cracks and crevices of your brain that are frustrated or shut down, or maybe that window's not open. I want to pop open some windows with you today. And then I'm going to turn it over to Micah King, who's on my team. She's one of our executive directors. She has a team of her own, and she's got some nuggets for you guys to help you get out of the trap of comparison and really feel empowered in your business. And then Kelly Meyer-Floyd is also going to take us home with some really cool, practical, tactical pieces that will show you, what do I do with the client that's struggling, or how do I get them to integrate, right? Get them to integrate. So we're going to pack a lot in here, and we'll finish right at the top of the hour. But I would grab a pen and paper because you're going to need a lot of notes, and then you may want to organize those notes for later, because this will be an empowering piece of your business that will change the trajectory of your business. This training has the ability to change the trajectory of your business, and meaning your client retention will go north. Okay, so we can together, we can give our clients a better experience. We can identify more coaches. We can allow them breakthrough, right? That's what they signed up for. Some of them don't know that yet. They think they signed up for a diet last month, but it's our job to steward their goals and dreams with them and move them through integration. So I want to tell you a funny couple of stories just to get you kind of tracking with me. So I had a client that I was talking to, and we were going through some of her struggles, right? And so she said, well, I wanted to stay in fat burn last week, but I ate some Oreos. And I said, okay, So tell me what happened, right? Oh, well, I went to the store and I got some stuff, and, my grandkids come over. So I got a couple things that I normally don't eat, and put them in the house. And, I was doing good all week, but then I kind of started watching the news, and I got a little stressed out lately about everything that's going on with the quarantine. And, I don't know, I just found myself there eating the Oreos and, all of that. So I went through with her and I said, um, so who bought the Oreos? Me. And are those your favorite cookie? Yeah. Okay, so you bought your favorite cookie and you brought it in the house and then you tried not to eat it. Is that what I'm hearing? And she said, she just giggled. She just like busted up and was like, yeah. And I said, this is the true program that we're going to work on. So you see, I could police her Oreos. I could tell her, don't buy Oreos anymore, and all of those logical things. But she has to come into a place where she sees that it's her mindset that is messing up her ability to get to where she said she wanted to go at the health assessment, right? So my job is to move her back to what she wants and reaffirm, is this still what you want? Yes. Okay. So now when you tell me I don't have time to read, I don't have time to get on the Wednesday night calls, I haven't made my way into Nourished, do you see how set up for failure we are? Because the whole battle is up here. It's not here, it's up here. It's the neck upside of the program that's going to allow you to see what you need to see in order to not sabotage yourself in those ways, right? So, what about the fear of missing out? How many times have you guys heard that, where clients are like, well, I was doing really good, and then I went to this get together and everybody was eating their stuff and I had my bar, and, almost apologetic about their poor bar, right? Fear of missing out, that's mindset, right? You guys could probably fill in more of these stories than I can, and they have nothing to do with food. They're a battle of the mind. This is a battlefield up here. They don't have a chance at healthy body without integration. And if they do, it's not going to last because it doesn't have roots and it doesn't have soil to go deep enough to protect them to keep it. Their only hope at keeping their results is coaching and full integration. And I would even say that without coaching, that's pretty vulnerable because they're not going to be in a like-minded community to help them support and sustain those changes. So I wanted to kind of go over that like big picture with you guys. I kind of joke with my clients. I have a lot of Christian clients, and I tell them, man, this has been going on since the Garden of Eden. Like that apple, right? It better have been like a pink lady or a Fuji. I don't know what it was that was so great for Eve. But the battle with food has been taking place in the mind since the beginning of time, right? So it's kind of fun to help them see that there's no way, but they have to see it. They have to see it. They have to agree to it, that this is their time. I'm a trainer. I teach spin and like TRX, and I've been working at a gym here in Temecula, Pachanga Casino, for about 5 years. And, people come in and they're often bragging about, like, if I teach a class or do a boot camp or something, they'll say things like, man, I got my A kicked in Rachel's class. It was such a good A kick in. And like, we brag about getting our bodies kicked in and trained and put through pain and suffering and sweat. And I tell clients, you got to get ready to get kicked like that in the mental gym. Okay, we're going to move all that energy to the mental gym. So I'm inviting you to do the mental push-ups that you're going to have to do to change your life, right? It's not going to happen at the physical gym. That's great. That's cherry on the sundae. That's wonderful. but that's not where your breakthroughs are going to happen. They're going to happen in the mental gym. So now that I've kind of like got your wheels turning about that, I'm going to go through high level integration, and I'm going to give you guys, I had a couple people send me messages yesterday of just like, you know, can you do this or can you do that? And so I want to make sure that I hit that. And a lot of it was, how do you talk about certain things, or what's your one-liner when they say this or that? So I'm really going to try and give you that today before I turn it over to Miss Micah King. Okay, so integration is our true program. So I tell the client, integration, the behavioral program, I don't say integration to them, that's our internal term, but I let them know that the full program is our offering, and that the very last thing I talk about is food. So how I present this to my clients is I tell them each part of our program has 25% weight. So it's 25% community. I'm going to invite you into a safe place to make these changes whereby you have like-minded people that are on the same path as you are, and they are going to strengthen you for this journey. I'm going to give you some new playgrounds and some new friends. And I'm not asking you to get rid of your old friends. I'm just saying I'm going to introduce you to people in a group that are on the same path as you, and their strength will give you energy. Their results will speak to you, and your results will speak to them. And in this group, I want you to be a contributor. Yes, you could go in and be a consumer, Nourish, Journey to Health, whatever it is, but I'm going to challenge you to be a contributor right out of the gate, because whatever we give away, it teaches us, it reverse engineers our understanding of what we're learning. So community is 25% of our program. Now, when a client will say to me, well, I don't have a Facebook, then I tell them, well, that's easy. We'll just make one. What we're going to do is we're just going to make one. You don't have to add any friends. I can be your only friend. And then we'll add you to this page, because this is where I do a lot of my group coaching. So I do one-on-one coaching, and then there's a ton of group coaching in this program. And I would never want you to miss the group coaching, because it's a huge piece of value that you've already paid for, right? So I want to make sure you get everything that you have paid for, okay? So 25% of my program, community. The other 25% is my coaching, okay? My coaching is one-on-one. It's the first week, we're going to be pretty hip to hip, high touch. I'm going to make sure you get into a mild fat burn and break connection with any chemical substances that wouldn't allow you to think clearly, okay? i.e. sugar, MSG, things like that. So we're going to break connection with things that don't serve you. And then after that, we're not going to talk about food anymore. We're going to move on to the true problems and the true issues that are causing you to not be where you want to be. So coaching. I'm your coach. I'm your loving concierge of the program. I do not own your health journey. That would be such a fail on my part. I'm not going to give you the answers to the test, but I'm going to show you where they live. I'm going to empower you to outgrow me, so that never again will someone else have the keys to how your mind works or how your body works. Does that sound good? Right? I'm getting these affirmations of like, yes, I don't want someone else to own my health journey. The next 25% is my favorite part of our program. It has changed my life. I have kept my weight off for 3 years, and it's due to the fact that I'm still a client. I'm still a client. So I get on Wednesday night calls once a week. These are a rock in my schedule. My family knows it. My routine is I get my headphones on, I walk my dog, and I listen to my client support call. I will be on these almost every Wednesday, and if I'm not, there's something wrong with me or one of my kiddos, because they are a priority to me, because I have realized, like you're going to realize, that 80% of this is subconscious brain. So we have no chance at keeping our changes if we don't rewire our brains. And so every Wednesday, I get on a call with a bunch of like-minded people, and I learn something new that will go well with me in my journey. And every week I learn something new. And I've been doing this for 3 years. They never get old. They're awesome. You're gonna love them. So you know how they're going to feel before it happens. You're going to love these calls. You're going to be sad when they're over, but you'll look forward to the one next week. You're also going to love the life book. This is where we're going to journal. And really, you know what this is going to be like? Because I've already told them on their health assessment about Dr. A. I've already told them how much I respect him and how blessed we are to have him as our visionary and our founder, and what he does for us every day and what he did when he left medicine. So now when I talk to them about their life book and their Habits of Health book, I tell them, this is the health class that you never got. And if you did, maybe you didn't pay attention. And this is like having Dr. A in your living room every day. And you can access him at any time. No copays, no lines, no crunchy paper to sit on. Like, you just get to sit with him and understand what caused him to leave medicine and do this. Like, how exciting is that? All I'm going to ask is 5 to 7 minutes a day for you to be in this, right? We'll set timers. We have to build a micro habit. So while you're waiting for your kit, remember, guys, they have this 5 to 7 day cooling off period. They've ordered the kit, right? Now they're just kind of like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Don't tell me none of you guys have never had buyer's remorse, right? It is a psychological attribute of a big purchase. Every single one of us runs the risk of buyer's remorse. So now they could either be guided well over the next 5 to 6 business days while they're waiting for their kit, or sometimes longer, right, when we have a big month. Or they could just sit and kind of question and thrash and second guess. We guide that. So what I do is I send them right after the call, I send them several things, getting them fired up. I add them to the client support page. I welcome them. I tell them, I'm going to have you start reading, because one of the micro habits that we're going to employ on this journey is reading 5 to 7 minutes a day. And what you're going to tell me, because you're a normal human, is you don't have time. But that's what got us in this mess. No time for personal development. No time to attend a 30-minute call once a week. So the busy as a badge that you've been wearing, that I've been wearing, I wear busy as a badge too. It won't serve you in this journey. So we're going to have to change it. So I'm going to have you start reading Stop, Challenge, Choose while you're waiting for your kit to arrive. I'm going to have you go to the habitsofhealth.com and take your overall health assessment. I'm going to have you download the app now and start tracking your water, just your water. That's it. We're just going to start drinking some water while we're waiting for our transformation kit. And this is going to be amazing. Now, the last piece I talk about is the food. And I tell them the food, we'll talk about that week 1. We're going to get you in a nice fat burning state if that's their plan. I coach people on different plans. So fat burn is not the end all for my clients, because some of my clients don't need that. I'm just trying to get them to eat 6 times a day, or drink water, or attach to the vision of just overall health, right? So I tell them the reason we make the food so stinking easy, right? No one doesn't do well on this plan because they don't know how to open a wrapper or take a sip of water. That's not why they don't do well. They don't do well because they don't have a healthy mind. So I tell them we made the food so stinking easy so that we could redirect energy to the program. Because if the food was hard and the reading and then the calls, and then you'd probably be super overwhelmed, correct? Right. So every week you and I are going to talk. And these are scheduled meetings that I have on my calendar. They're hard on my calendar. These are a rock on my calendar for you. I need you to hold them with that same sacred nature, because every week we're going to unpack tips that are appropriate for that stage of your plan. What do you think would happen if I gave you all my tips for the whole journey all at once? What do you think would happen? They're like, well, I'd probably be overwhelmed. Exactly. So we're going to unpack it 1 week at a time, 1 habit at a time, 1 mindset challenge at a time. So it's so exciting because, guys, we can't afford In this business, we can't afford to say things like, my client is non-compliant, refuses to read, and they just don't get it, and just like leave it at that, right? This is what I hear so often. And I'm not going to say that that's not true, that people don't present resistance to us, because anytime you go to change your story in life, you're going to get resistance. It's a normal part of change that people are going to put their front up and their wall up right away and tell you 50 reasons why they can't do it, right? But who's the professional? Who's the professional that says, that's interesting? You're telling me that you want to lose 50 pounds, you want to regain strength and energy and start playing with your grandkids, but you're also telling me that this journey is going to be relying on old information and knowledge, and that the only information and knowledge that we're going to use for the journey is willpower and your old faulty thinking. Is that what I'm hearing? Don't be afraid to ask them questions like, how will that serve you? Or if there was one way that we could read 5 to 7 minutes a day, what would that look like? If we had to find a way for you to read your life book and rewrite your story, what would that look like? And then don't say another word and let them say, well, I guess I could read when the kids are napping or this or that, or right? And then if they can't start reading, I start sending them podcasts. I'm going to meet you where you're at. I need you to consider listening to this podcast this week. It's on Element 9. And this is, you're kind of prone to skipping fuelings. And I want you to understand the fueling's role in your journey. So I'm going to let you listen to this podcast. And then I'm going to ask you to consider reading in Element 9 so that you have a better understanding. Are you willing to do that this week? Great. So we have to change the news. We can't report the news. And one of the things that we want to do is tell them that the pages of your life book protect your pounds, right? So for every page you read, you'll protect those pounds. If we don't have pages, new information, we're not going to protect those pounds. So I tell them in short, and then I'm going to turn this over to Micah, I can only coach my program. I can only guarantee my program. I cannot guarantee your program, modified results, right? So right now, I'm kind of feeling like you're asking me to coach your program. And it'll lead us right back to where we started when you called me. I want to give you 2 stories that you guys can use. And these are powerful. So one, if they're kind of an outdoors person, maybe they like the ocean, I tell them right now, you're in a boat and you're on this big sea of change, okay? And you've got one anchor for that boat, it's your food. You've dropped anchor and you're doing the food, and you're doing the food pretty good. I love it. Water, eating 6 times a day, awesome. But we're on week 3 and all we got is food. The other anchor I need you to drop is community. That's another anchor. Another anchor is me, the coach, right? I'm here, your loving guide to keep you attached to your why and keep it in front of you. And then there's the behavioral life book and all of that, right? The journaling, it's cathartic, it works. Dr. A did not invent journaling. He's just employing it. So you drop an anchor there. Now you've got 4 anchors around your boat. What do you think is going to happen when a storm comes now? Your boat's going nowhere, right? You're anchored. But if we just have one anchor, the food, and the storms of life are going to come, where are you going? You're going to get blown over, right? If they're a sports fan, in closing, if they're a sports fan, I tell them, imagine you being on a field and a coach pulls up and a bunch of kids are out there and they're about to play baseball. And the coach pulls up and he drops off a bunch of gear, helmets, bats, balls, bases, the whole thing. And then he gets in his car and he drives away. And you're kind of like, wow. Now, would the kids figure out how to play ball? Of course they would. They'd play ball. They'd probably run around and have some fun, right? But how much better would they play if the coach stayed and coached them and was like, hey guys, no, wow, put your helmet on. No, it has to go like that. Or Make sure you run a little faster. How much better would they play if that stadium that they were at was full of fans cheering for them? Yay! With their numbers and their signs, go Adam, go Amy, right? How much better would they play? How much better would they play if they had a batting coach once a week that was literally teaching them how to bat properly on a private lesson once a week, every Wednesday at 5:30? So yeah, you can play the game, or you could be coached into a championship type of coaching program. We're offering them so much more than food. So I hope that that helped you. I'm going to turn it over to lovely Micah. She's going to help us, and then Micah will turn it right over to Miss Kelly Floyd. Okay?
Micah King, and I have so much to go over this morning that I'm going to jump right into it. It's going to feel like a fire hose. So I wanted to start with a quote by John Maxwell that says, "Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less." And you as a health coach have influence, and you have influence with the people that you are guiding on in their health journey. Okay, and so this morning we're going to kind of come at a high level approach to what we're going to talk about. And I'm going to talk about 3 different kinds of leaders and why each of them are necessary for client integration. So I'm going to break these down and kind of track with me. Like I said, I got to go fast. So, all right. So the first kind of leader is going to be the leader that I'm going to label as the head. Okay. The leader is going to be the teacher. They like information. They like facts on how the program works. When people come to us, they typically it's because they have a faulty belief and they have bad habits. And we know that if we can teach them a new way to look at food and mindset, then we can help them create a new belief system, which will create new habits and actions. So the teacher knows that knowledge equals freedom. And when we give somebody the gift of knowledge, we know that they need knowledge is part of this transformation that they're on, then we know that we give them the gift of power to change their beliefs. So when I have wrong information, I have wrong beliefs, and then I have wrong actions. And so the teacher is able to identify that and say, let's give them the knowledge to make new choices and a new, belief system around their health. When I have wrong information, I have wrong beliefs, and I have wrong actions. So it kind of looks like this. Like when we have clients that come and they say, if I believe that I'm just getting older and that I have a slow metabolism, then I'm just destined to the rest of my life being overweight. So these are some of the lies that people might come into. People will sometimes say, if I believe that my family is just big boned, then I'm a bigger person and I'm destined to never be at a healthy BMI. Or sometimes we hear things like, if I'm genetically disposed to diabetes, stroke, heart attack, high cholesterol, and that these things just run in my family, then I'm going to be destined to a life of medications. And so the teacher comes in and says, let me teach you another way. The head brings value to clients through education. And when we bring knowledge, it equals duplication, and it furthers the mission to get the world healthy. Right? So that's the idea of that type of leader, the head, the teacher. Let me teach you another way. Okay. And so they lead through that education. The second kind of leader is a person that's like a heart, that this person feels all the struggles that people are having. They weep with those who weep. They rejoice with those who rejoice. Like they're all about getting into the messy trenches of life and holding another's hand as they climb out together of that struggle. The hearts, they're like cheering someone on. They're a shoulder to cry on. They're an ear to listen to. It's like, it's the coach that's always like all the emojis, right? It's like praise hands, good job. Or it's like sobbing, I'm so sorry. It's just like, or like the strength arm. I always like that one. Like, you got this. So you've got the heart leader. They're just given like encouragement and they know that they can give the gift of power through a word of encouragement and just being present with somebody. So they lead people through that idea of just, encouraging, being present. Someone that's a heart typically recognizes when there's walls that are blocking the path that has been, the path that we lay out, that there's walls that are there, and they work hard with that person to tear them down because they know that progress won't be made unless the obstacles are removed. And so we have to remember that what causes someone to rely on food as comfort a lot of times, and we deal with this, is that it stems from an emotional, mental, or maybe even a physical trauma. That everything in a person's life, may feel out of control, but that they can control the food they eat, and they typically make unhealthy choices, looking for maybe that instant boost of serotonin to get the brain, that feel-good hormone. And so the heart comes in, the one that's the leader that kind of leads with the heart says, you know what, you're still in control. Let's make some healthy choices that you're going to, like healthy choices that are going to lead you to optimal health instead of down a path that's going to damage your health. So when someone says like, this is hard, I can't keep doing this, I don't want to do this anymore, the heart is good at reminding people of their victories so far and encouraging them to, that they're going to be at their goal soon. They bring people back to their why. They're typically really good at that. Like, why did you start this process? What type of future do you desire? What type of future is waiting for you if you don't quit? The heart often says like, let's go grab coffee. Let's spend some time together. Let's find the victories in other people's journeys and that maybe are a couple steps ahead of you. And let's just be encouraged by that and look at what you have to look forward to. So that heart is just usually like an encourager, really like in the trenches with all the emotions and feeling all the feelings. Okay. The third kind of leader I would say is like the hands. So hands would be the ones that recognize the need for organization. The hands have what it takes to build things. They love systems, they love processes. These are the coaches, and maybe this is you. It's like, oh, I've got all the Zoom links saved in my calendar. I've got charts and checklists, and oh, you need an Optavia guide? I got it right here. It's like Annika and her little binder yesterday. I just love that. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's definitely got some organizational skills there. And so the hands know that they can give the gift of structure and organization that will help put somebody or give somebody a clear pathway and the steps that are going to lead to success. That if we can give someone structure, then we can help eliminate all the chaos in a person's life. So when a person is struggling, we like to problem solve and come up with a good solution that will produce a more productive person capable of accomplishing the goals that they've set out to do. It's like the person that says, I'm too busy, I can't eat this much, I just can't think about it all the time. Well, somebody that's more hands, they might say, okay, look, let's set a timer. Let's remind you to remind you so you're not thinking about it, and keep a fueling with you at all times. Do you have fuelings in your car, in your purse, in your, bags, whatever? Keep a fueling with you at all times. For somebody that says, this is too much money, I don't want to go, I don't want to do this anymore. A person who is more hands might be able to say, let's organize your finances and look through this and figure out where you can maybe cut some expenses, because you're going to make room for what you care about. Somebody that comes to you, like a client that says, I had a long day, I wasn't able to make a lean and green. Then somebody that's maybe more structure is going to say, let's meal plan. Let's plan out the next week, shop for what you need so that you can do whatever prep you need ahead of time that's going to keep you on track. Clients that say like, I don't feel like it, a leader that's more hand-based is going to say, you aren't run by your feelings and emotions, because structure that we're going to put in place doesn't care about your feelings. We're going to stay on track because of this structure that we've put into place. Okay, so cool thing about hands build things. Hands build businesses, they build organizations, but in all of that, they ultimately build people, and people are the point. And so these are three different types of leaders, right? Now, how do you identify with your strengths? When you think about these leaders, which ones do you identify? What are your strengths? And then what do you do with your weaknesses? Because each of us have come into coaching for one reason or another, and that reason is probably going to line up with your strengths. A great temptation that we often face is comparing ourselves to others, and comparison's only going to produce one of two things. Usually it's one that's like, I'm kind of an arrogance thing, like, oh, well, I'm way better than them, I'm doing okay. Or two, it's going to produce depression to say, oh my gosh, I'm not as good at them as them. I'm not as good as that coach. I'm never going to succeed in coaching because I'm not as good as them. And sometimes we can get frustrated when our strength doesn't look like somebody else's strength. And then we can get discouraged because we don't think that we're doing it right, or that maybe we're cut out for coaching. And the truth is, if you're trying to operate in your weaknesses, because that's what the ideal coach looks like to you, then you're going to get frustrated and you're going to remove the fun from coaching and you're not going to enjoy it. And so which one are you? Of those 3 leaders that I described, which one are you? So let me kind of just ask it this way. When someone says, I'm stressed and food is my only comfort, how do you naturally respond? All right, so I'm gonna give you 3 options and you can kind of put it in the chat if you want to, identify with which one you naturally respond with. So the head's gonna say, food is fuel. Okay, let me just repeat it again. I'm stressed and food is my comfort. So how are you gonna naturally respond? So the head's gonna say, food is fuel. It's not comfort. Where else can you find stress relief? The heart's gonna say, I've been there. Let's go back to your why. Let's talk through that. The hands are gonna say, let's remove all unapproved plan items from your house so that you're less tempted and plan out some satisfying lean and greens. So which one are you? Which one do you most relate to? And then the second question that I wanna just ask you is, which one is the most loving? And so go ahead, if you guys wanna just kind of put in there like what you think maybe is the most loving. Yeah, interesting. So there's a lot of hearts. And that's the thing I think like is interesting, is that a lot of times we think it's the heart part, like that we've got to be really good at the heart part of coaching, that we've got to really get into all the emotions. But there are some of you that sort of brings up a little bit of anxiety. And what I want to tell you is that naturally you're going to identify with one of these traits. You're going to maybe be strong in a secondary, but there's going to be a third that's probably going to exhaust you and you're going to want to avoid. And the key is to remember that all 3 of these characteristics of leaders, they equally love people. And that's what I really want to emphasize, that because they equally love people, they just love people differently. So if you think that heart is the primary gifting of coaching, then you're probably naturally drawn to the heart part. Sorry. Other people who are primary gifted at structure or teaching may feel like they're inadequate as a coach because it's more cerebral and less feely. And that's not the case. The case. Knowing which one you lean towards will free you up to function in your strength and help you find help for your weaknesses. And that's where client integration comes in, because not one response is better than another. All of them serve people. And all 3 of these ways, while different, they love people. You're not going to be strong in all 3 areas, and that's okay, because you're part of an amazing support system. So are your clients. And so are you integrating them into that support system? Are you getting them on the phone with your coach? Are you encouraging them to plug into the client support page? Encouraging them to get into their life book and using the Habits of Health app. These resources are uniquely targeted for your clients' needs. We team coach, and we want you to shine in your strengths. If you're so focused on improving on your weaknesses, you're going to get drained quickly. Like I said, coaching is not going to really be so fun. You're going to think, I need to work in this area. I've got to be better at structure or whatever. And then, you're just kind of like, I just don't want to do this anymore. I hate calendars. I hate systems. I hate processes. Like, I didn't really get into coaching to talk about your schedule. They're important. And yes, we've got to work on our weaknesses because we do need to have an element of structure, but you need to be free to operate in coaching in your strength. And so if that's the heart, then great. If you're a teacher, then great. Like, teach and teach and teach. These clients are going to love that. But if you don't integrate them, they're not going to have a well-rounded concept of or grasp on the program. So, and then also just, coaching is not going to give you the same excitement. And then, that's not going to be as fun. So I know when I first started coaching, I saw my weaknesses and my lack of, and I was afraid that my coach thought I was going to break people. And so she's like, yeah, let me get on a call with you and let me help you, here. And I thought, well, gosh, I must be so terrible at this that even my coach sees it and she wants to get on the phone with me. And so, yes, there's an element of we need to be trained. We are dealing with people's health and we are dealing with their lives. But team coaching truly is a team thing, that we really are here to support each other, that you as an individual are not a community, right? You're not a community, that you are not serving yourself or your clients if you hide them from community. And so don't be afraid of the strengths of the others on your team. Embrace the strengths of others and allow your clients to be served by their gifts. You shine in your gift, but then you let the coaches on your team or the people in your healthy community, you let them shine and be able to really serve your clients in those other ways too. All right, and then I'm just going to close it with this, that comparison is the greatest killer of joy. Don't you agree to that? The danger of comparing ourselves against others instead of celebrating their strengths, it robs today of its joy and empties tomorrow of its power. And so what are you good at? Identify what you're good at as a coach, because you've been created with strengths, and so operate in them. Develop them, shine in them, and don't compare your lack against someone else's strengths. I'm terrible at this, or maybe I'm not so great at this, and this person is amazing at it. Dang, I'm never going to measure up. Don't do that. Don't do that. Team coaching doesn't mean that you're incapable. It just means, hey, you're human. And so don't shy away from integrating your clients and exposing them to the strengths of others. So shine in your strengths. And that's pretty much, what I got there.
Awesome. Thank you coaching, so much, Micah. That was amazing. Oh my gosh. I know everyone's writing so fast. I just think, one of those things that you just said that stood out was just the comparison trap. Our employee mindset that we come in with in this business can prohibit us from embracing integration and team coaching. It's because in our normal thinking, if someone jumps on a call with us, it means we're doing something wrong, or maybe we're not competent. We can get rid of that thought. It won't serve us, because around here, teamwork does make the dream work. So Miss Kelly, will you drive us home with all your wisdom and application for us? I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much. And guys, if y'all need to just take a deep breath right now, feel free to take a deep breath, because that was a lot of information, and it was a lot of really good applicable information. And I don't know if any of you are sitting there like me and thinking, whoa, so much to work on, so many ways to improve, so many ways to get better. But if you are, I want to give you a little bit of hope and a little bit of thought behind that, because it wasn't long ago that I sat where you sat, or where you're sitting, or Rachel sat where you're sitting, or Micah sat where you're sitting. We did not, any of us, come to this as the level we are right now. I won't and can't speak for them, but I will speak for myself. And I was the biggest hero coach that there was. I slung a diet for a really long time. I let the clients control the program. I told them what they wanted to hear. And it's really interesting how coaching reveals to us the areas that we also need to work on. And whenever I began to realize that was when I began to become a better actual coach, instead of someone who just did whatever the client wanted me to do, or told them what they wanted to hear, or coached a diet. And the life book is where a lot of that came from. It gave me the structure to not be a hero coach anymore. It gave me the ability to stay in my sobriety from hero health coaching, because I'm still apt to fall back into that. I was the coach that had all the answers. I could fix all your problems. I could tell you exactly what it was you were doing wrong and how you could fix it. And I fixed nothing, and I fixed no one. And I fixed nothing and I fixed no one, because that's not how we learn. And when I stopped doing that, and when I got out of the way of my ego and started listening on these trainings, and started really diving into my life book, and started being coachable for my mentors who had been there and knew what I was doing, but were waiting on me to be open to be coachable, things changed. My client support changed, and the way I related with my clients changed. The integration for my clients changed, and even the coaches that are down under me in my organization began to change, because you duplicate in your organization what you're doing, and what I was doing wasn't duplicable. Nobody had the same knowledge that I did, but everybody had this life book, and everybody had the ability to coach from this life book. And so I began to change. And one of the first things that I began to do with my clients was apologize. I had to set my ego aside, and I had to apologize for having been the hero coach, for having done this not to their best interest, to not coaching them structurally, to not integrating them into our community and the calls and my 1 week check-ins the way I was supposed to, and having them in the life book. And that was really hard for me. And so if any of you are sitting there in that position right now and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not doing any of this. Oh my gosh, I haven't done any of this. Oh, or I can never be like Rachel, or I can never be like Micah. I just want y'all to know that like none of us started where we're coming to you from today. We're coming to you in hopes that we can save you some of the time and some of the trouble and some of the heartache that we have gone through to be where we are right now. And so just get out of your own way and just listen and change today. Change today. So what does this look like though whenever we are bringing clients in and helping integrate them in? Rachel has given us some great tools. Micah has given us some great tools. I was listening to Micah and I was thinking, oh my gosh, Enneagram. I don't know if any of y'all are Enneagrammers, but I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so heart-centered. I'm a 3 on the Enneagram. I'm so heart-centered. But I've learned, because my weaknesses have been revealed to me with coaching, how I can be more hand-centered and how I can be more head-centered and how I can access those places and how I can use the very obstacles that kept me from being those in those areas of coaching before as learning opportunities. Because as a heart-centered person, I did want to please people. And if their order didn't come as quickly as they wanted it to, or if things weren't going as they wanted it to, I wanted to fix that for them. I wanted to please them. And then when I began to coach from the life book and in structure, I realized, wait a minute, this is an opportunity not only for me to grow, but this is a coachable opportunity for my client. And so that light bulb just went off when I began to coach with the life book. And so one of the first conversations that I want to share with you guys that I have with every single one of my clients is this. I talk with them about what happens whenever they have struggled in the past on programs or in life or whatever. What has happened for them? And they always say that they quit or they failed, and then I ask, if you had a support, do you think that would be better? Do you think you'd lean into that support, or do you think you'd lean away from that support? And they said, I probably would lean away because they would feel shame or guilt or like they had failed. And so one of the first conversations I have with them is, I want to get an agreement from you that you're going to lean in to coaching whenever you feel like you have failed, whenever you feel like an obstacle has come up. And the reason I do that is because I want to right away from the very beginning make sure that they know I'm going to support them and I'm not going to shame them and I'm not going to guilt them. But the other thing is I want to teach them that obstacles are opportunities for growth. Like that's what this whole program is about, is finding those opportunities for growth. I want them to know that they're going to struggle. Things are going to come up. They are going to need help to find the tool, the opportunity for learning within those things. And so I have them have that conversation with me at the very beginning of the journey. Because guys, we're not going on a diet. We're going on a journey. And a journey has obstacles in it, and it has pitfalls, and it has ups and it has downs. And I want them to understand that. I want them to be able to immediately shift that mentality of, oh, if I mess up, I might as well just quit, or I might as well just go off the rails. So I don't know if any of you have had clients that you're pretty sure they've messed up and they've gone quiet on you and you wonder why. If you can go back, if you in the beginning or can now make an agreement with them to lean into you when they mess up, then that keeps that client from going quiet whenever they do mess up, whenever they do struggle. Another conversation I have at the beginning of every single coaching relationship or wherever you are right now is some of the information that Rachel shared with us about consciousness versus unconsciousness, how they don't have the tools to be successful right now. I have had clients that struggle week one, things come up, obstacles present themselves. And one of the things I like to teach them, and this is straight from the life book, is you don't have the tools right now to do anything different than what you have just done. Your brain has been wired over years and years and years to just complete that habit or that routine or that behavior that you just did. And we can't change that until we bring it up into consciousness and create new tools and new habits and new patterns and practice it over a long period of time. And then you're still going to probably get triggered at a higher level at another time. And we're going to have to bring it back up, and we're going to have to make it even more solid, and we're going to have to give you even better tools. And I usually share my own struggles with that. Sugar is an addiction for me. I have to read Element 16 in my life book all the time because it is a problem for me. And when I get triggered at higher levels, it is a hole I still fall into. And I feel like when you are vulnerable with them about your own struggles, it helps to connect you with them so that they know that you struggle too and you're not perfect. But it also helps them know that you aren't just going to fix this. This isn't just like a quick thing. This is something that we're going to have to work on over time. And even when we get a really good habit installed, you may get triggered at a higher level, and that's okay. I had a client yesterday who called me in tears. She had been doing amazing. And in this past week, her aunt passed away and her pastor passed away unexpectedly. And she went back into her hole of eating. And she was just like, why do I do these things? I was doing so well, and I've been having really great habits. And we talked about that she's being triggered at a higher level. And we talked about that it's okay for her to feel sad. Like, she felt bad for feeling sad about these things. And we were able to really get in and talk about, like, how has she responded to these sort of things in the past? When things happen in her life, when struggles happen in her life, how has she responded to these things in the past? And we didn't even talk about the cake that she ate and the things that she did. That wasn't the point. The point was she has a habitual way of responding to obstacles or trauma or sad events in her life. And this was a higher level trigger than she'd ever been triggered before. And so we just had to bring that back forward, and we had to create a stronger habit for her. In the meantime, guys, I had to give her a lot of grace. Like, it's okay for her to feel sad right now. It's okay for her to be upset. It's okay for her to be struggling right now. We have to normalize the struggle for our clients. Like, it is okay for them to struggle. Struggle is normal, and struggle is where we're going to learn. And that was another opportunity for me as a coach in all of this, was being okay with my clients struggling. I used to just want to fix my clients whenever they would struggle, and that doesn't serve them at all. What serves them is to teach them that the struggle is part of the process. The struggle is part of the learning. The struggle is where the change is going to happen. And so realizing that, and realizing the conscious versus unconscious habits, is huge, and beginning to help them identify and have the self-awareness to identify when they have those habits, to be able to say, oh, you were just standing, you went in your kitchen and you were standing in your pantry. Why do you think you were standing in your pantry? Was it time to eat? No. Well, what do you think got you there? You know what? I had just fussed at my kids. Oh, how did you feel when you fussed at your kids? You know what? That makes me really stressed out, and it makes me really upset. And I said, and then you found yourself standing in front of your pantry. Yeah. Why do you think you were there? Because usually I eat when I get stressed out. Light bulb. I didn't tell them those answers. I just asked the questions to lead them there. And then you say, hey, so you're standing in front of your pantry. You just figured out that you're stressed out. Your kids triggered you into this stressful situation. You went to your pantry because that's what you habitually do. You unconsciously just walk there. Like, you probably don't even remember walking there. You didn't even know why you were doing it. And until you were standing in front of your pantry looking in there and you knew it wasn't time to eat, you had no consciousness of that. So we've just brought consciousness to it. So what can we do differently? What do you think would help you actually feel better? Do you think the food would make you feel better? No, I don't think it would. Or maybe it would for a minute. Okay. Do we want to just feel better for a minute? No, we want to actually help. So eventually we're going to deal with those triggers of the stress. That's a different element a different day. But right now we just need to give a tool. So we say, okay, well, what do you think you would like to do other than go to your pantry and try to eat some food? And they begin to come up with ideas. Well, you know what? Maybe I could go on a walk. Maybe I could go take some deep breaths. Maybe I could turn on some music and we could have a dance party and shift the energy. Great. Which one of those would you like to try? And so you give them one to try. And then I say, okay, do you think the next time your kids are arguing and fighting and you get stressed that you could do that dance party thing you talked about? Yes. Okay, great. When that happens, I want you to just send me a quick message and let me know how it goes. And they do. And guess what, guys? You've just created a new habit. You've created a new habit loop. You created a new pattern for them. So the next time that happens, maybe they'll still end up in front of the pantry, but they can really quickly go, oh, wait, I'm in front of the pantry. This isn't where I'm supposed to be. Let's do that dance party that I came up with as a way to help with stress. Another story that I can share with you guys is, I had a client that started this week, and she's like an 11 on ready to start. And the first day she sends me a message. She sends me a picture of a pizza heart. And I'm like, oh dear. And she said, so this is what's happening and I need help. And so immediately we hop on the phone and I'm like, what's going on? And she says, well, today's day one. I've done great. I've gotten in 4 fuelings. I've gotten in all my water, and I come home. My kids were not great yesterday, and they got me this heart pizza as an apology. And I said, okay, well, what do you want to do? Guys, this is her journey, not mine. I want to know what she wants to do. What do you want to do? I want to stick to my program. I've stuck to it all day long. I'm like, okay, so tell me what you're struggling with. Well, I feel like they've done this nice thing. I want to eat their pizza too and not disappoint them. And say, well, what feeling is under that? What do you think the feeling is that's driving that? And she's like, guilt. And I said, oh, so guilt is driving you to want to eat the pizza. I said, do you think that's going to move you closer to your goal or further away from your goal? And she's like, it's going to move me further away from my goal. And so, well, what could we do instead? Like, what would be another way that we could go about this and we could learn? Because I'm here to tell you, obstacles are going to happen, and we've got to figure out how to learn from it. And she told me, she's like, maybe I could put it in the freezer and I could say to my kids, thank you, I really appreciate that. But, I'm trying to make better decisions. And tonight I'm going to choose a different meal to eat, but I really appreciate the thought behind it. And it was so kind of them to do that. And I really appreciate it. And I said, great, I want you to tell me how that goes. We get on the call the next day, and she said, it was a great learning opportunity for not just me, but my kids. I got to teach them about impulse control, and I stuck to my program. And then she tells me again, and then she tells me that day. And then today I woke up with a migraine, but I decided I was just going to power through. Usually I would have just quit, but I'm going to power through. And I said, that's amazing. It sounds like you have a lot of obstacles that come up in your life on a daily basis. Why don't we go ahead and get an element 4? And so she's 2 days into her program and she's in element 4 because obstacles are coming up already. And I need her to have some tools to deal with that besides just me and besides just her own willpower. Another client that I have is a returning client. And he did this as a diet the last time. And when he decided he wanted to come back, guys, I said, okay, we're going to do the life book this time. We're going to do the community this time. We're going to do the coaching this time. We're going to do the whole deal, guys. And, we're going to do the whole deal. And he's like, okay, whatever. Whatever. He told me on his health assessment, though, he said, things have changed since last time. I've had a little girl and I really want to show up for her. I want to spend more time with her. And I said, that's great. That's awesome. And I said, so we're going to do this whole deal. And so he's been fighting me on it. He is an attorney. He is a law professor. He is a councilman, and he is a really busy, stressed out person. And, he was fighting me on getting on check-in calls. He was fighting me on getting in the life book. He was fighting me on all of it. And every time we spoke, and he sends me lots and lots of questions. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to answer your questions till you hop on the phone with me. And so that was worth it. So he hopped on the phone with me, and he hops on the phone, and I said, hey, Joe, do you still want to show up for Alexis? Like, is that still what you want? You still want to be like the good dad for her? like, yeah. Do you think you'd show up better for her if you were managing your stress and your days and your busyness better? He's like, yeah, probably so. And I said, okay, I want you to tell me about your morning. And so he went through what his morning routine was with me. And I said, okay, so it sounds like you get up and you eat your fueling and you immediately hit the ground running, but you're putting out everybody else's fires. Is that right? He's like, yeah. Cause he's like, I check my texts, I text my emails, and I'm immediately dealing with stuff. And my day just takes away from there. I said, do you think that maybe it would serve you better if while you're eating your fueling, you could maybe open your life book and you could, read a couple of pages, maybe just 5 minutes, so that you kind of set the tone for your day? And I said, do you think you could maybe try that? And he's like, yeah. I said, do you think that your day maybe would go better if your mindset was set from the beginning and you kind of had control of your day versus your day beginning to run you the minute you get up? And he was like, yeah. And so guess what? He's in his life book for 5 minutes every morning while he eats his fueling. And guess how his days are going? They're going differently. Guess what his stress is doing? It's dropping and it's changing. And his day isn't running him. He's running his day. And as a result, he shows up better for his little girl, which is what he ultimately wants. Guys, I have thousands more stories. It's 11 o'clock. I didn't even get to the stuff about tip calls. I think y'all have gotten plenty and plenty and plenty of information today. So I'm going to hand it back to Rachel to close us out, since it is already 11 and I don't want to hold up everybody. But it's all about listening, guys. It's all about asking really good questions. It's all about letting there be silence. And if you're thinking to yourself right now, like, I don't have these questions, guess where I get most of my questions? The coaching guide. This coaching guide has amazing questions. And those are essentially the questions that I'm asking them. What does that give you an opportunity to reflect on? What can you do differently? I mean, it's this. So don't think that you have to reinvent a wheel or be some guru. You just, you do your life book. You use this coaching guide. You integrate into the same systems you're trying to integrate your client into, and you can do the same thing that we're doing. Rachel.
Awesome. Oh, so much good stuff. How blessed are we to have Kelly just share with us. So she just brought like that different energy of like a calm and okay, let's go do this. And it was beautiful. So thank you so much, Kelly. In terms of actions for today, let's put this in action. We have a mindset, right? We have skill sets, and the skill set, just as Kelly said, guess what? Best part about this is Dr. A's vision was that a client 1 week into program could start paying this forward. So we do not have to have skill sets that are from counseling or therapy or anything. He gave us the teacher's edition of their life book. And the problem is, if we're not in our life book, then using this kind of makes us feel like a fraud, okay? And it's that mindset that keeps us from integrating our clients. It's not lack of knowledge or skills. It's truly, truly the fact that we have to be in our life book along with them. We have to be on the Wednesday night call along with them. We have to be listening to podcasts when we miss our call along with them. We have to be using our app and keeping score of our own health journey along with them. We have to be willing to show them, hey, I'm still a client. I'm still logging my food. I'm still on my journey. That's all that it is if we integrate as a client, that qualifies us to hold someone's hand and take them a couple steps ahead of where they would have been if they were self-directed. So do not let any intimidation keep you from what you know to do, which is just being a good client. The best coaches are the best clients, right? So don't let anything, any chatter steal your ability to go love people well today by your experience. So my question for you is, in regards to integration, what are you missing? What are you missing? And just take one anchor and drop it on your boat this week. If you're missing the Wednesday night calls, start there. Okay, so what are you missing? What have you seen is what you will share. Okay, so what have you seen? with integration. Share that with your clients. What I've seen is people that are integrated tend to do much better with the food because their mind is set up for it. Whatever you see, you can talk about it. What do you know? What do you already know? Talk about that. Don't worry about what you don't know. Don't worry about what you haven't seen. Okay? My challenges, and we'll put them in the group, is in terms of pre-integration, I want you guys to think about that. How can I pre-integrate my clients in that 5 to 6 day waiting period where they're waiting for their transformation kit? What can I do better? Give it some intention and some attention, like you were lost your shoe, like that, like put some on that today. First challenge, that's your first challenge. Second challenge is read element 4 of your life book. And when you read it once for you and read it a second time, thinking of it as a client that's having a hard time with food or program or 5-in-1-ish. And some things are going to come to you differently because you're reading it from a different perspective, okay? And then also you'll want to go to your coaching guide and look up element 4 and see what questions correlate with that. This is all about healthy mind, okay? And then I would send the podcast link to some of your non-readers. Maybe just say, I have a challenge for you this week. Are you up for it? And they'll say, sure. Most people don't say no. Great. I want you to listen to this podcast. And then on our next check-in, I just want to dig deeper on it with you. Are you open to that? So start using the podcast. Ask them to redeem their walk or let that subconscious brain get in there. And then on your map, lastly, on your map, what we'll want to do is have you look at your map and go through and put an A, B, or C by every one of your clients on the sidebar. A, fully integrated, on the calls, doing all 4 anchors. B, mostly integrated, but still lacking reading the life book or still lacking the Wednesday night calls. C, not integrated, ghosting, dieting. That's an imminent cancellation at some point. The goal this week is to move all of your clients from a C to a B, or a B to an A, or an A to an A+ coaching, right? So you're going to start to see your clients and say, wow, I can move them forward if they're open to it. But I first have to see what I'm working with, okay? And then extra credit, go live in your client support page. Go live in your client support page and talk about something from the life book that is speaking to you in your own health journey. And watch what happens. You're going to set a tone of this is not a diet, okay? Have a great day. Thank you for hanging out 7 minutes extra. We will get better at this, guys. We just have so much that we want to give you. And that's really where that comes from. So forgive us for going over, and we'll put all of this in the page so that you guys can follow up with that. Have a great day, everybody.